When we talk about government, sometimes you only see a face. You see the prime minister coming to a press conference and saying what his decision was. You probably see the ministers, but this is just the top of the iceberg. Under them, there are many people that are advising them, that are drafting the documents, that are preparing the PowerPoints, and these people have a lot of influence. These people have a lot of influence on policy, even though that it's not supposed to be like this. I mean, the people that are responsible for the decisions supposed to make them. Many times they're only bearing of the bad or good news. And it's extremely important before you do anything to map the landscape, to understand who are the people that actually influence policy. So, for example, in Israel, I researched this for a while. Why we don't use green zones, and I managed to track down a specific person in the Ministry of Health that told everybody above him that this will not work in Israel. This will not work in Israel. Now, I think that he was absolutely wrong, but nobody checked the numbers. Once he was a person responsible for the issue, he said that it's a bad idea, so they didn't do it. On another time, we have a special team that's supposed to track and respond for pandemics. It's a group of old people that the teacher of the teachers never seen a pandemic. And they said when the pandemic started, they said that don't close the borders. It's never working. It will not give you any benefits. We should keep it open and handle whatever coming at us. And I had to find these people. It was extremely complicated, especially because President Trump insisted that Israel will not block entrance from the U.S. And managed to pass a decision to close Israeli borders. We were actually the first country to close the borders to all nations. Even Taiwan at the time closed the borders only to a red list. And Israel's first wave was actually mild. At the top of it, we had less than 100 cases per million people at the top of the first wave, and only a few hundred people died. Now, when you see a politician that actually already said something, it's extremely difficult to make him change his mind, because they love the way the public look at them. They love short messages that are really clear messages, because that's what works in elections. And when they give something like this in the context of a pandemic with a fast-changing landscape, that you may need to change your decisions every day on the basis of new information, it's extremely complicated for them. Think about Boris Johnson in the UK. He said, schools are safe. We are going to open schools soon. You should know that everything is fine. Your kids will be safe there. And then 3 days later, he needed to actually tell the people that the schools will actually close. This is extremely complicated. He only did it because he had no other chance whatsoever. If he was able to put this through with like an acceptable level of for him, I don't see any acceptable level of dead people. If he was seeing a way to pull this through, he was probably trying to keep the schools open, just like the governments in France, in the Netherlands, and in other places did. So it's important, just like we say that we need to act fast, aggressively, and early on South curve. We also need to act fast, early, and aggressively on politicians, because once they got a public image of what they are with regards to the pandemic, as they are like lukewarm, trying to see more information, asking for certainty before they make decisions. If this is a public profile, they will try to stick to it, because that's how they used to work. If you manage to build for them a public profile of a person that acts fast and early and aggressively, you have a much better chance that they will actually act for it, act to keep this image. So it's extremely important, to find the right people that actually write the documents, because they are shaping the public appearance of the politician. Second, to try to convince the politician to actually take your message. by helping him to shape the exact message that he can stick to it and keep all through the pandemic. Um, and as said, it's extremely important to supply information in a very simple way and for many dimensions, because some people are only affected when they think about like a major system collapsing. Other people are affected when they see like a child crying helplessly. They need to see the specific. Some people only care when they see something that got like a brand name on it. For example, if it's coming from McKinsey for the warm bed, they will take it. If it's coming from a pre-publication server, even though that the information is like amazing quality, they will not take it. So you need to realize what is the soft spot for the politician. What is like buying? What's the things that make him buy information or ideas, and try to work on this aspect. Now this is extremely complicated because you can't really ask him, "Are you more impressed when it says BBC on it or Reuters?" So you need to throw everything you have and try to monitor what is taken, and then try to extend this kind of information. A politician that is mostly that is affected by graphs, you need to supply him with graphs. A politician that is affected by headlines, by international headlines in major sites, give him more of that. And also it's important to try to find people that got a public image, that got a public standing, that will support your cause. So you have this way, you can first of all get credibility for your message. Everything you say, if you can base it on a top scientist from another country, a top epidemiologist from somewhere, then it's got much better impact. And usually these people doesn't change. So you should choose 3, 4, 5 experts that you trust their opinion, and quote them time and again, and try to build their public image in your country, in your area. Give them credibility. Show the politician where they predicted the future in more accurately than others, and how it's what they've been useful if he was using their information instead of other people's ideas. And minimize the impact of bad actors by showing how wrong they were. It's usually armies, when they first start a war, they replaced 20, 30, 40% of the officers after the first few weeks, because they find out that these people were good for peace, but they're not good for war. Same things go with the pandemics, with slight problems that we're supposed to replace 10, 20, 30% of the people, but we don't. Okay, it usually takes much longer, and you already the bodies that these people managed already got the momentum. They already got like the wind of the commander, and they don't change so fast. So because time is of the essence, you have no choice but to actually say show how wrong were others. It's not enough to show that you are right. You need to show that they are wrong. This is not nice. It's not fun, but it's important, and it may save life. Um, Another thing is that many politicians they got a spiral with experts. The experts doesn't want to offer a policy that the politicians cannot adopt, something that is out of range. The politicians will rarely do something that is stricter than what the experts propose. So if for example, the politician publicly he says like that he doesn't want to go strong, so the experts will start from offering things that are not considered strong, but the politicians say, okay, so if that's what they offer, so I can cut like 20%, 50% of what they offer. Of course, they already considered that. Sometimes they don't. So when you cut more from what the expert says, sometimes you can cause a lot of damage. In Israel, for example, the government once shorted isolation from 14 days to 10 days to people who do 2 tests. And this is logical in a way. It's a very long tail. The tail between 10 days to 14 days, it's a pretty long tail. It's small percentages. If you also do a second test, it's very small percentages. On on a national level, you can manage something like this. But but just a few days ago, the government of Israel shortened again the isolation from 10 days to 7. This is not working. I mean, about 20% of infectious individuals that will go, but that will get a positive test on the 7th day will be still be infectious after that. So this is very bad risk management, and it's only came because of this death spiral between experts and politicians, where the experts didn't want to propose anything that the politicians will be afraid to adopt, and the politicians thought that they can cut again. So from 7 we got to 10, that's fine. From 10 to 7, from 14 to 10, it's fine. From 10 to 7, it's a disaster, and we will probably pay daily for it. So now looking at Israel, we had a major challenge here that is you can see on the graphs, and this is that we were in the worst political turmoil since the creation of Israel 73 years ago. We actually had five successive elections, one after the other. So we had on May 2020, we almost got for zero COVID, and we lost it because the government just changed. And in May 2021, a year later, we almost got again to zero COVID, and again we lost it now because of a government change. So this is really bad, and it takes time to find who the influencers are, what the opinions of the actors on the Corona cabinet, and some others. Who are the people that actually write the documents that actually shape policy? Who are the secret advisors? And this challenge, it's taking weeks to at least figure this out, and we don't have weeks. So right now we are with about 100 cases per million people, slightly less than 100 cases per million people, going strongly up. ICU cases going up. Deaths, we see like 11. Yesterday we have seen more than one new severely sick person in ICU, fully vaccinated per million. Situation is going badly fast, and I really hope that we will get the handle of it very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Meir. That was so interesting. So I don't know if anyone has a question. Yes, I agree. We can say that. It's great. That's I don't know. I mean, it raises so many questions, but so maybe I'm going to ask you one immediately. Okay, you say that once a politician takes a stand, is going to stick to it. But listening to you, especially at the end of your presentation, you were able, I don't know, you or maybe Israel was able to change the mind on zero COVID 2 times. and so I guess the people who were against at the beginning were able to change their mind. So how come? How did, I mean, were you part of this change of mind on zero COVID? I mean, your organization, etc. And how did it happen?
So we actually got to zero, almost to zero, kind of by mistake. Meaning, our strategy right now is not zero; it's mitigation, and it's a really bad strategy that failed everywhere. But unlike many other countries, Israel got like many tools at hand. First of all, we are a pretty small country. Second, we are a pretty rich country. Third, we have excellent health service, excellent, amazing health services. We also have access to the best technology in the world, to the best vaccines in the world, and we have a very strong army who is ready for emergency. And we used all of this pretty effectively, trying to take R below 1 for as long as possible. Now, when you do it for a long enough period, you get to zero. Okay, so the government never intended to actually get to zero. When the Gatzes didn't do anything to keep it there because strategy was lacking. But we still managed to get to zero twice. In my opinion, it's meaning that if we actually try to get to zero, we will be able to do this very fast and to stay there. Because when we are not trying, we are winning. When we will try, for sure, we're gonna win. So that's explaining why we got there twice, because we have everything needed to get there, and we lost it twice because we never changed our strategy for mitigation to zero.
Okay, it's. I mean, you've done much better than France, but it's true that almost by luck we were almost there. We were almost there, and but because we did not change our strategy, I mean, of course we have raising cases again. Nicole has a question that she wrote in the room chat. Maybe you can read it, but otherwise, it says, "What does the general public say? Is zero COVID elimination a subject in the public debate right now?"
So it wasn't for a while, and actually until November 2020, the Israeli government never even had a strategic discussion of the issue. They never considered like what a national strategy should be. Unlike New Zealand, for example, where the government actually had the paper, a plan, they executed the plan in a very organized way. They even in the New Zealand plan, which is amazing, they even have like a tree saying like if we got to this point, meaning that we need to reconcile the grand strategy. Israel didn't even have grand strategy, not to mention like the openness to actually reconcile the grand strategy on terms. Um, so what I did was first pushing the government in any way I had to actually adopt any strategy because any strategy is better than no strategy. And it works. They had these strategy discussions. First, at the first, they just they waived zero COVID as like not relevant to Israel because of some experts, so called. And later, I managed to put this on the table. I managed to convince some prominent political leaders. One of them is now the Prime Minister of Israel, to actually promote zero COVID openly in a very serious way. And I hope that when the new government form, these prominent politicians, one of them is the Prime Minister now, and another one is now the Minister of Justice, that they will keep on promoting zero COVID. But thanks to vaccines, they sat for a few weeks that maybe the rules of the game changed for now, and maybe we can go for mitigation now without like being harsh, aggressive, and fast. It's proved wrong. I mean, right now our situation is pretty bad and getting like worse pretty fast. I hope that they will, that the prime minister and some other ministers will actually see for the strategic need to go to zero and will adopt such a policy very soon.